Meta, which previously was known as Facebook, is going to allow minting and selling of NFTs on its Instagram property. And this is a very big, important story. I mean, it's something that they've talked about already, but they're putting new details on it. And this is an integration with Polygon, which will allow you to sell them on Insta or off platform. And you're also going to be able to integrate NFTs that you've created on other blockchains like Flow and Solana and bring them onto the Instagram system. So I think what's interesting here is this is part of a trend of these mega platforms, these big Web2 companies really getting into what they call the creator economy, this idea that us as users of the internet should be able to create things on these platforms and then monetize them and store them and to sell them and really do what we want with them. And obviously these platforms have been criticized for many years and really gave birth to Web3 because this idea that they were basically taking our data, taking our creativity and hoarding it and selling it and passing the profits to their shareholders. And now at least we're going to get some of that back to the users. And I think what's interesting also is that while we're in the midst of kind of crypto winter and some of these NFT projects, for instance, are losing steam, you're seeing kind of a sort of countervailing trend of these mega Web2 platforms really kind of getting into the game and really putting out these announcements. And this is one of many that we've seen recently, not just with Instagram and Facebook, but with TikTok, with Alphabet, and also I guess with Twitter as well. And I think over the next few months, I think that's going to be one of the big stories we're going to be following about how these kind of big Web2 properties are really getting into the game. So I think that's going to kind of sustain us in terms of storylines going forward.
Yeah, I'll snag it first if I can. Two interesting things for me out of this. One, the fact that they're using Polygon, which is an L2. Actually, there's a few different things that Polygon does, but for an L2, basically the ability to build on top of Ethereum, have more transactions. And Meta would work with an L2 because they're going to need that, right? How many users do they have? Well, up into the billions across all their different platforms. So they're going to need something that's super scalable. Ethereum is more and more becoming just infrastructure, just a base layer, sort of boring actually. And these new L2 projects building on top of Ethereum, that's where the show is going to be. That's where all the fun is going to be. That's where the NFTs will be, the artists will live, the creators will live, will be on top of these new chains that are plugged into the Ethereum ecosystem. The second part I want to bring up, and this is completely different from the tech side of things, is what Polygon is. Formerly known as Matic, Polygon's actually built by two Indian co-founders. And I think that's a great point to highlight here is that a lot of the technology is built in crypto right now. It's not coming out of Silicon Valley. It's global and it's moving all over the world. These two co-founders, again, from India, they don't have a lot of that in Silicon Valley. Like, we don't have a lot of those stories of people coming from across the globe, building a project that is selected by Meta to run a whole new division, a whole new revenue generation operation for them. And that's the power of crypto. That's the power of decentralized economies that crypto enables. Anyone with code, anyone with a laptop can plug into this economy and start churning up new tokens, churning up new ideas, and start making valuable products on behalf of others. Dave, I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, there's a lot to say here. One, I think just take a step back. I think there's a little bit of a learning opportunity here as far as crypto economics and investing. So the fact that Facebook and Instagram are going to be using this particular chain means that will generate volume on the chain, right? The NFTs are stored on the chain, the transactions, you have to pay for the block space to fulfill those transactions. And so when you see a deal like this, that's a fundamental driver of value for a network like Polygon. And we have seen something like a 12% run up over the last 24 hours in the price of that token, because there's going to be more demand for block space on that network. So just to put that out there, that's just kind of one way, fundamental way to look at valuations for projects is just demand for block space, demand for throughput activity. The other thing that I'll note is I wonder about Meta's ability to roll this out in a way that's going to be really effective, because we saw, I think over the last month, a ton of really positive news from Reddit over their digital collectibles effort, which are NFTs. But one of the things that was widely noted is they didn't discuss them as NFTs. They didn't use that terminology. And they got a lot of people into wallets and into owning digital collectibles without going through sort of the normal crypto sales funnel. It's not like, this is crypto, it's going to go up, all that kind of sort of buzzy stuff. They just focused on what people want and the end user experience. And it was very successful. They got a huge influx of new users using NFTs without knowing it. Unfortunately, I think Meta culturally is much more oriented towards buzzwords. They're more of a marketing company than anything at this point, including marketing their own features. So I wonder if they're going to be able to actually cater to users instead of making this a narrative, frankly, ultimately about their stock price, which they're desperate to pump up at this point. I think will get the last comment on this one.
Yeah, I'll take it from there. I am interested to see what happens with these NFT marketplaces because it is a lot of capital and hopefully it doesn't become sunk capital this late into a bear market. We've seen a few different NFT marketplaces pop up, and now we've seen different places that those NFTs can go live on. And you need both those things, right? You need a place to go buy the NFTs and you need a place to put those NFTs so they have actual utility. Think that the buyers are there. They might not be there as much as they were in 2021, but the buyers are certainly there. We'll just have to see if they can stick the landing from being a user to buying something to landing on whatever page you want to use. This is certainly really bullish for adoption of NFTs to have something like Meta enable it. It was big when Twitter did it. But again, it is sort of late in the cycle. So, there might not be enough interest to deem this worthy at this point. Ben, I'll actually give you the last take before we wrap up.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say one other thing. I mean, it's interesting, if Facebook and the other social network platforms are going to become NFT platforms, then will the NFT platforms become social networks? And I think that's something to watch out for, because presumably you need the whole thing in order to be effective going forward.